Hello, this is my 1969 Honda CL450, and in this video I'm going to be doing a horn replacement, a headlight replacement, and a full LED upgrade on the bike. In the last video I went through all the circuits and fixed a few things that weren't working, and now that all circuits work, and I was lucky enough to find some LED bulbs online, I'm going to go through and replace all those and do the necessary wiring changes. Alright, so these are the parts I'm directly replacing. I tried to fix this horn in the last video. I cleaned up the contacts, I opened it up. As you can see from the marring, I opened it up and I got it working for a second, and then I couldn't get to work again. And I figured the replacements are $15, and I don't want to have to deal with this if it's going to be constantly working and not working. So anyway, this doesn't work. And this headlight, it does work, but it doesn't have a low beam. I'm not sure if the filament's broken or what, but it didn't have a low beam when I got the bike, and it's pretty dim, even the high beam, so I'd like to replace this. And here's some old, so the hardware I've just sorted into this plastic divider. So here's what I got as replacements. I got these LED gauge bulbs, I got LED turn signal bulbs. This is, and here is the LED tail light. There's the LED tail light. This is a small diode that you have to use for the turn signal indicator if you're going to go with LEDs. Here's a replacement horn, and this is a replacement halogen bulb headlight, and some wiring that goes with that. So before I get started replacing some bulbs, this is where the horn used to mount, and I need to replace this bracket. So I need to get this bolt out, and it's super rusted on this side and down here above the key switch. That's where it goes. So I'm gonna hit it with some of this and let it soak while I work on the rest of the bike. Alright, this has been sitting with some oil for a minute, so I'm going to see if I can get it off now. Trying to keep everything sort of how it is. Okay, so now I'll replace these with the new horn. So the new horn will go there. Alright, that's not going anywhere. Great. Alright, so I'm at the other side of the bike now. It actually took me a minute to find the horn circuit again. Basically, this is the wire that was on the old horn. I replaced these because they were real corroded, but the side's the same. And there is coming out of, actually the flasher relay goes up into this bundle, which goes into like this main wire bundle, and from there too is this green bullet connector. So That's the first half, and then this black actually goes into over here. There's this black bundle, so that's where the other side of the horn goes. All right, so here's those wires on the other side, and I rotated the horn, so now I can just plug those in here. Now, I don't know if there's a direction to the current on this, so I'm just gonna have to test it, and if it works how it is, then it works. If it doesn't, then I'll flip these two connections. But that's basically it for the horn installation. Actually, one final thing on this is I'm just gonna put a little bit of electrical tape around these connections, because usually they've got some rubber around them and they're really close to the rest of this, and I don't want it to short out, so. Alright, so I've got all the bulbs replaced with LEDs, and now I gotta put in this diode. You use the diode because normally the turn signal indicator light is activated basically with a lower voltage through the turn signal that's not active. So when you have the left turn signal on, for example, 12 volts goes through the left turn signal, and then a lower voltage that does not illuminate the right turn signal goes through the base of the right turn signal, or the circuit of the right turn signal, and lights up the indicator. Now, that works because incandescent bulbs can be illuminated with power going either way, but LEDs are directional. So first you want to figure out how power is getting to these turn signal indicators. So I'm just going to wiggle the cluster of wires that goes to the indicator, and you can see here it is this black cluster. And out of this cluster, this makes sense. We have this is the green wire with a red stripe for the neutral light, a brown wire with a white stripe for the running light, and then a light blue for the right turn signal, and an orange wire for the left turn signal. So I'm going to take out those two connections from their respective clusters. Once you take out these two little bullet connectors here, you want to go back to where they were going in, the light blue cluster and the orange cluster, and that's where you put the two ends of the diode. Okay, so now we've got the other end of the diode, and that, from what I could find online, I'm not sure which, the orange or the blue this goes into, but I know that either the orange or the blue, we'll try the blue for this one, goes in there, and then the orange has to actually get wired to ground. For now, I'm going to test it with the alligator clip, and then once I know it works, I will figure out some connection here to bring the leftover wire to ground. Alright, so now if I give the key a switch, the neutral light works, and I click a turn signal, you can see it does light up. The right ones light up. They're fairly dim. I think that's because the relay, you can sort of see actually the way the relay works is that a little lever in there heats up from the voltage, and as it heats up it bends away, it breaks the circuit, cools down, the circuit's connected again, and so on. And because LEDs don't draw that much voltage, you need a different relay to work with LEDs. But actually you can kind of see here that it kind of flickers to life, and that's as the more voltage is drawn through the relay. But yeah, still no flicking, no flashing. So definitely gonna have to replace the relay. Also, in this configuration, there is no signal indicator. So what I'm gonna do is swap these connections and ground on blue, and you get an indicator when you turn on the And now, yeah, now the bulbs aren't even going on. So I think that's because the relay is no good. So I'll have to buy a relay. All right, so the final piece of the electrics on this bike is the headlight. Now the headlight is both the seal beam bulb lens and this sort of mounting ring. So I'm going to take this ring off and replace the lens now. Alright, so here is the new lens. It's also got, this one has a parking light. It's a small yellowish bulb on the bottom. So I'm going to put that on the bottom of, I don't know if it matters, but I'm just going to put it on the bottom. And it just kind of clicks in there. And then I believe there's some springs that hold it in place. Alright, I put a light on so you can see a little better. Basically, the way these work is, so you can see the closed end of this U is going to face towards the center of the headlight, and when it looks like the sort of closed end of the W's is going to go down into the edge here. And so you push this little clip into that crevice there, and then you want each of these wires that come off to get under the lip. So hold one there and the other one kind of push with your thumb. And it is pretty tight, but you don't want your headlight going anywhere. So there you are. That's what it looks like when it's in. You really got to bend those a lot. Alright, so I've got my clips in there, and now the headlight looks pretty good. So the last part obviously is that there's this sort of 3-pin connector. Well, first I gotta wire these all up, and then I'm gonna put this all back, screw it all back into the bike. So actually this morning I went around to like the AutoZone and some other hardware stores, and as it turns out, no one really sells this size of bullet connector, which is 3.5 millimeter. Now you can get them online, which I considered doing, except that then these 4-pin connectors are even harder to find, even online. So I think I'm gonna have to find an alternative altogether. Alright, so looking at the bucket, it's going to be a little bit more of a puzzle than I anticipated. So this is the high beam. This dark blue is the high beam of the headlight. This white is the low beam, and actually I guess the previous owner broke this. So I need to get a connection on there. I need a connection on here. And then, so this is a ground cluster here, this 4-pin connector. But I need more wires going into here than I have room for. Basically, what has to happen is I have for the parking light, the headlight, and this light blue wire, remember, is the indicator light. Goes to ground now too because of the LED mod. And lastly, I also have to figure out how to get, for the parking light, how to get a brown and white wire attached, because I don't think I have an extra spot on this 4-pin connector. Alright, so here's the plan I come up with. For the high and low beam wires, I just bought new bullet connectors that are the same size you can find in hardware stores, but not matching the 3.5 millimeter sizes on this bike. Then I was able to wiggle off one 3.5 millimeter connector from the high beam wire, and so I'm going to use this. And actually, this old wire from the old sealed beam headlight, as you can see, this is this goes to a 2-pin connector. So I'm going to put the bullet connector on this side of the wire, and it'll go to 2, and that'll give me the extra in I need on the brown and white wire for the running light, and that's for the parking light in the new headlight. Finally, I have this ground. I'm not sure if this will work, but the idea is to put one of these ring connectors on everything that needs ground, and then put a ring connector on the other side of this green wire. And then all those rings I'm going to fasten on this bolt between washers with a nut. The idea being that this will just become a new sort of ground terminal coming out of this ground terminal, into which I can put the headlight, the turning signal indicator, and the parking light ground. Alright, so I've got a battery in now. I haven't put the headlight back in because I'm just going to test it, but again, I've never seen anyone do this ring nut and bolt connection, but let's see if it works. I'll turn the key on, do get the neutral light, and if I turn the headlight on, there you go. That's low, and that's high. It's not a huge difference, but there you go. The other thing to test is the parking light, which is the key in its third mode. It goes off on parking. Parking turns the brake light on, and the idea is it turns this little parking light on in there, but it doesn't. I think I wired it into the headlight running light, not the parking light running light. I don't know where the difference is, but honestly, I don't think that's going to be a reason I fail the inspection, and I don't see myself using the parking mode. It is worth noting, though, that the parking light does turn on when you turn on the headlight. There you are. You can see that it's on. And same in the... Alright, and now that I've got everything in, I'm going to turn on the key, get the neutral light, and there you are. There's low beam, there's high beam. And there's off. I cannot tell you how good it feels to have this headlight bucket covered and be done with the rat's nest in there.